So let's get into something called flags. So I've already shown you one flag kind of unintentionally, and that's help. So if I say ls, let's do pwd again, dash dash help, this dash dash help is actually what's called a flag. It's saying turn this thing on or off, right? So in this particular case, I'm saying I want to run pwd, but I want to run pwd in help mode. And help mode is just spew out all of your help information. That's all help mode does. But let's talk about one that's a little bit more interesting than that. Oh, one thing I'm going to say, people are probably going to try and run echo dash dash help right now, and it's just going to echo out help. That's to be expected, because echo is just trying to output literally everything in there, and I think there is a way to do it. Anyway, if you're trying to run echo help, you're going to see that. And there is a way to run the echo in help mode, but we won't talk about it right now. So going back to flags, you have ls, right? And ls just shows you everything in the directory. But you can actually say, I want to see more information than what I'm seeing right now. So if I say ls-l, it'll actually give me more information. So this -l is another kind of flag, and this is telling me here is like the long form output of this. So you can see here, this isn't super interesting because I only have one file in here, but it tells me this is from the Ubuntu user, from the Ubuntu group. You can see that this is 4096 bytes big, aka 4 kilobytes. And this was created on June 30th at 10:45. And it's a directory called Ubuntu. Okay? And then we'll get into, these are the permissions right here, but we'll get into that later. So -l is another flag that just tells you, like, here is the long form output. Okay? So now what happens if we want to have two different flags? Well, we can do -l, and then we can do another one that's -a. And what -a does is it says, show me hidden files and directories. So in this particular case, it'll show you the relative path of the dot is actually represents this directory. So this directory is 4 kilobytes big, which is the minimum size in this particular case. And .. is shows you to go up. But that's what the -a does. It says, show me all the hidden things. So just for fun, let's create an extra hidden file. So I'm going to use a program called touch, and this is going to be called .hidden-file. Oh, no, sorry, I need to do that inside of Ubuntu. So now I'm inside of the Ubuntu directory. I'm going to do touch.hidden-file, and the dot means it's a hidden file. And touch just creates a file. We'll go over that later as well. And you can see now, oh, there's actually a bunch of stuff in here, one of which is hidden file that I just created right there. But there's a bunch of hidden files in here. But now if I run this again without the -a, you'll see all of that stuff is hidden, and all I can see is the home directory and the snap directory inside of my Ubuntu directory. So that is what flags are. We've talked about two different kinds. One is the long flags, and that's going to be something like help, right? So the 2 dashes means that I'm doing one flag, and it's a long way of writing it out. So another way of doing that, I think, would be -h, maybe? Nope. So let's do ls-help. Help. And that's what all of these things are. It's telling you what all of its flags are. So see if we can find help here. Oh, no, it doesn't even exist. But let's take a look at -a. So -a is that one that we're looking at. It says, show me the hidden files. But you can also write -a as --all. So --all, so if I do ls-all and ls-a, you can notice those are the same output. And that's because -a is just the shorter way of writing --all. So the 1 dash is the shorthand, the 2 dashes is the long way of doing it. Now, why do they have different dashes? Well, if I have ls-a-l, right, where I have 2 different flags here, the way I can actually rewrite that is just -al or -la. So the 1 dash means I'm going to give you a bunch of flags all at once, just right in a row, right? And so I don't have to write out -l, -a, I can just write -la. So that's why it's just 1 dash. It's letting you know a bunch of flags are coming in here. If I did -help like this, it would think that I'm passing in 4 flags of -h, -e, -l, and -p. That's why you have to do --help. And you can mix and match too, right? I could do -a or ls-all-l. It would be the same thing. Questions about flags so far? I know I'm going really into depth on flags, but they're so important. They're so like core to like running stuff in the command line that you kind of need to know how they work. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know why there was 1 dash and why there was 2 dashes until like halfway through my career. That's probably shameful to admit out loud, but I know it now. All right. So one more thing about flags is you can also pass things to flags directly as well. So if I come in here and I have a snap directory, right? Let's say for a second I wanted to ignore the snap directory. Well, there is a flag that says --ignore, right? Which is what I would want to do. And I can just say --ignore equals snap. And you can see here that it just ignores that. But that's what that -- equals is telling us, like, I want to ignore this. And I think you can probably do this as well. Whoops. So often that equals is optional as well, and not always, which is kind of annoying as well. And that's kind of what you're going to find with the command line. Every program works a little bit differently because they were written by different people in different decades frequently. So some of them will respect this equal signs and some of them won't. Some of them like require it, right? Like it's wild which ones work with it and which ones don't. Sometimes you just kind of have to remember it. I think with this one as well, you can also give it multiple times. So let's say I wanted to ignore home as well. And you can see there, now I can't see anything. But that makes sense, right? If you want to ignore multiple things, you can pass in the same flag multiple times. But again, the way that flags are handled is actually not native to Bash. It's actually native to how the programs are written. So it depends on how each one of these is written. Now, luckily, most of these computer scientists have been working in concert for decades. So they work, for the most part, in ways that you would expect. But if you'll find that if this one works one way, sometimes another one won't work the same way. And you kind of just have to know sometimes. So last thing I'll leave you here is every time that I run ls, I always run it with lsah, and I actually don't even remember most of the time what those stand for. But it actually gives you this full output, and that's one I use most of the time. It gives you the size in kilobytes and megabytes, which is useful. It's a little bit more human readable. It shows you all the hidden files. What is S? I can't even remember. See, I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, it's second nature. -S is for, oh, so that's the size one. So that's what shows you like kilobytes instead of bytes. And then H is human readable. Oh, I guess that's what that one is. So S is, oh, it's just show the size in general, like how big files are. I've actually seen some people actually modify their bash shell so that when they run ls, it actually automatically runs it with lsah. Cool. I think that's it. Oh yeah, the last thing I was going to show you as well. We were doing ignore, right? ls -- ignore snap, right? But you can also do ls -I snap as well, right? Most of the long form ones also have shorthands and vice versa. So, and it's always case sensitive. So if I do lowercase I, that's going to be a different flag than -I. And again, you just have to know, or you have to look it up every single time. And in particular, something like ls, where it's such a flexible tool, you can see it has 30 flags that you can give it. All right, how we feeling about command line so far? Is it going okay? Awesome. Thumbs up is exactly what I want to see. All right, let's keep going. So now you should be feeling a bit more comfortable with like how to run commands with the command line, right? You have to run the command, you have to give it its parameters, you have to give it its flags. Oh, something else I'll tell you about flags. Some programs care where you put them and some of them don't. And that's also kind of annoying. Like, let's just see with ls here for just a second. If I say ls, where am I? Okay, so if I say ls snap, right, which will have some stuff in there, right? It has one folder in there. If I say ls -lsah snap, okay, that works. What happens if I say ls snap -la? It works, right? So this one is a good one that it doesn't care what order I give it, right? It just knows that, like, okay, if I see the dash, then it's a flag and it can handle that. Some programs profoundly care where you put the flags. So I would say the standard place to put the flags is immediately after the command. So it would be here. But there's a bunch of programs that you can put it afterwards. Just be aware that sometimes that order matters, and it just depends on how the program was written. That's a good one to know. That trips me up all the time. So I would just say get used to putting them first, because you'll just save yourself some heartache.